Okay, it's either written or it's not. I have noticed in my experience that a lot of people feel like the Bible is an exhaustive book, like it records everything you ever need to know about morality, and it answers every question you ever have, and it records all details regarding all things. And that's simply not the case. I find that the Bible is not exhaustive, but it is sufficient. In other words, the Bible's not going to give answers for everything specifically, but it does give basic principles and fundamental elements by which you can use your brain and apply yourself and figure out, right from wrong, even though everything is not specified pin and hair in the scriptures. Let me give you an example. On the topic of masturbation, the Bible does not have any verses that mention masturbation or even hint at the idea. Now, there's two schools of thought on this, this fact that the Bible doesn't say anything about it. One school of thought is the Bible doesn't say that masturbation is immoral because it's not. That's one school of thought. The other school of thought is the Bible doesn't say that masturbation is immoral because it shouldn't have to. Now, you'll notice that both of those are both of them are forwarding completely antagonistic sentiments towards each other. But the interesting thing, and the thing that we need to realize about these two arguments, is that both of them are founded on what the Bible admittedly does not say. And when we realize that, we can realize that it is not safe to base a doctrine or our understanding of right from wrong off of what the Bible does not say. Because when you do this, you can take either of those views. They're both based on what the Bible doesn't say. And we don't want to do this. It's really dangerous. I was talking with a lady one time, and she was trying to prove to me her doctrine from Scripture. And so she went through the text and went through the line of reasoning with me. And at the end of it all, I said, you can't really actually show that from Scripture. The Scriptures aren't actually saying that. And, she wanted to know why, and so I explained it to her, and I went through her reasoning, and I showed her all the places where there was holes in her logic and her reasoning. And by the time that I was done, she realized that what she was actually teaching and purporting as being in the Bible wasn't actually in the Bible. But she really believed this, and she had to really struggle with this because she was she really believed that this was right, and she didn't like that I could show that it wasn't in Scripture, and that I had unraveled her argument. Now, me and her were good friends or anything, so I wasn't doing this maliciously or anything. We were just talking. But she, at the end of it, she said, because she had realized that she couldn't prove this from Scripture, and so what she did is she said, "You can almost prove it." And my response to her was, almost proof is no proof at all. And that is very key, because, in light of all this stuff we're going to be covering in these presentations, if we're going to go with almost proof, we have to realize that's no proof at all. The Scripture either says something or it doesn't. If you're going to say, well, it almost says it, well, it almost says everything. So to speak. If you try really hard, you can make the Scripture say something that it doesn't say. So we want to be careful to make sure that if we base our beliefs on something, that it is actually written. If we're going to say this is immoral, or this is immoral, or that's wrong, or this isn't good, or that's sinful, we actually need to have Scriptures that say this, because if we don't, we can say, well, the Bible almost says that it's wrong. Well, but that means it doesn't say that it's wrong at all. So we got to be wary of this. We got to be careful. One thing that I want to point out, however, is that just because the Bible doesn't say something, like for instance with the issue of masturbation, the Bible doesn't say that masturbation is wrong. It doesn't say that it's right. It doesn't say anything about it. But just because it doesn't say that it's wrong doesn't mean that it's not. Just because it doesn't say that it's right doesn't mean that it's not. There's a lot of things that are true that the Bible doesn't say. For instance, smoking can cause lung cancer, Is that true? Yeah, it's true. Does the Bible say that it's true? No, but it's still true. So the point is that if we're going to base our beliefs on something, it needs to be in the Scripture. And if it's not in the Scripture, we need to realize it can still be true, even if it's not in there. The Bible's not an exhaustive book, it's a sufficient book. So keep this in mind as we're going through these presentations, so that way it doesn't interfere with what we're going to be covering. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again in the next presentation.